Hello, welcome to our first tutorial of the Jersey City Arts and Culture Trust Fund grant. My name is Christine Goodman, and I'm the Director of the Office of Cultural Affairs here for the City of Jersey City. And I am joined today by
Migdali Pagan Milano. I am the Program Coordinator of Special Events here for Christine in the Cultural Affairs Department.
So we're excited to walk through this application with you. It's being hosted by Neighborly. So if you want to go to the screen share. Today we're going to be talking about the program grant, which will cover program grants and arts education grants. And then we will talk through the operational grant application.
Okay, fantastic. You will be provided with a URL that you can enter to bring you to the portal for the participant application. Let's see, this is going to be the screen. You will have to create an account and a password in order to apply. And I would like to mention that you are able to select here on this icon over a dozen different languages in which you can read this application. So we're going to go ahead and sign in. I've already created an account. This is what you will see. Here's our Cultural Affairs email address. If you have any questions, please send us an email. We'll be happy to assist you. We're going to click.
If you need any additional accessibility support, we're here to help you complete the application as well.
So we have the program grant or the operating grant. We're going to start with the program. So we're going to click on new application. We'll name it Milano Test. You feel free to use your name. Keep in mind that you will have an identification number attached to your application as well. Let's see. All right. So what you're going to see here is the deadline, which is March 28th. At 11:59 p.m. That's when the applications will be closing. So you'll have plenty of time to submit your application. You can do it all in one sitting, or you can save your information and go back to it when it's more convenient and you have more documentation.
One thing I'm going to just interject is it will say program grant application in the upper left corner, whether you're applying for a program grant or an arts education grant.
Correct. So let's start with the first page, which is our overview. Christine and I do advise that you print this page, which has all of the eligibility requirements as well as the criteria. You can print it right here where the print icon is. And you can use this as a reference throughout your application process.
So because this application refers to arts education and program grants, you'll see both of the eligibility requirements outlined here. The maximum grant request for either of these programs is $17,500.
Okay, here we have the evaluation criteria and the final reporting.
For the payments, once the grant awards are announced and the award amounts have been decided, the grant applicants that do receive an award will receive 75% of the grant total upfront once we receive your vendor forms. And then after you've completed your program, and submitted a final report, you will receive that final 25% of the grant award. So keep that in mind for your budgeting. Another thing to point out is that the grant year is July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So your proposed program must be held within that time period of July 1st through June 30th, 2023.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, so we're going to click here after you've read through all of the information on the overview page. And we're going to make sure that we save everything that we do. That way we can go back to it if the computer, the internet fails, or if you need to take a phone call, you just, walk away from the computer, you'll be able to go back and pick up where you left off. So let's make sure that we save with every page that we complete. Once we've clicked here that we have read the conditions, we'll complete and continue. And it's going to bring us to the second tab, which is our contact information page.
So this
If you-
is the basic applicant overview. If you do have a co-applicant who will be joining you on this program, like another partner organization, you can choose to add their information on the right-hand side.
Okay, now this is all required information. If you click complete and continue, you'll see that these fields are in red. They are required, and you will not be able to move along with the application unless they are completed. I'm just going to save that, close out, and go on to the next page, which is the organization information.
So for the program grant, you are eligible to apply as an individual. So in this case, the organization name would not apply to you, but you would still include your website and your social media, your year that you started doing your programming. That would work for the year incorporated. If you're a formal organization, you would include your EIN number and the year that you were incorporated as a business. This list of categories, this comes from the state statute for the Arts and Culture Trust Fund. So in case you're wondering why this is the selection that you have here, this is what was given to us by the state.
Okay, and you can check off multiple if they apply to you and your program. As I mentioned before, let's make sure we save that. Data saved, close.
Do you want to
And
show what is required on this page?
Oh, sure.
Great. So again, you can see all the red fields mean it's required to move forward.
Okay. So we'll move on to the proposal section.
This is your brief description, a couple sentences that can really tell us in a short space here what you're looking to do. So this would be like an elevator pitch statement of your program.
And the proposal narrative.
You describe the program in more detail, and you can refer back to, as Magdalia said, those overview page where there is the list of our funding priorities, and you can talk about how your program relates to the funding priorities outlined in our overview. And let us know any key people who are participating in the program.
Now I'm going, and Christine and I, we're both going in order. However, you can jump around. Let's say you wanted to start off with the budget. You're free to do that just by clicking on it. But you can jump around. Now, the check mark here is going to indicate that you've completed that page. So once all of these check marks are completed, you'll be able to submit this application. If you haven't submitted all of the information, the check mark will not populate. So just keep that in mind. But you are free to move around to any section that you find the easiest to start with, or if you'd like to start with the more detailed one. We're moving on to the budget category.
So for E1, this is where you are going to put how much you are requesting through this grant application. As a reminder, the maximum for the program grant or the arts education grant is $17,500. You can certainly request less than that, that is fine, but the max is $17,500. You'll let us know how you intend to use these funds toward your project and how you'll match those funds. So all $17,500 or any portion thereof that you are going to request for this grant application must be matched through in-kind services or cash. And you'll outline that in your budget below. So here is your expense table. You'll see at the beginning, we're asking you to see what your administrative personnel would be, your expenses. So those would be like your office support, your administrative support. Those are not your creatives and what you would pay your creative artists for programming. The maximum for personnel that you can request is 20% of your total grant.
As you enter the numerical values here, at the very bottom, it will tally up on its own, so you don't have to do that. Just simply enter the numerical values.
We ask for administrative costs, your program costs, which is where you would outline the expenses that have to do with the creative. Maybe that's your lighting production or your set, or your gallery walls, and your artistic personnel would be your creative fees paid to creative artists. And of course, we do encourage that artists are paid for participation in programs. You have also any travel or transportation associated with the program. For your facilities expenses, that would be the rental fees and the costs associated with the facility where you will be presenting your program. Maybe there's maintenance or utilities or insurance. Please do consider your insurance. That is an important component of having public programs. Phone and computer. And then for marketing, that would be your advertising, graphic design, printing, things of that nature. Whenever you can, I would try and keep those expenses in one of the categories that aren't called other, because putting all of your expenses into the other category doesn't really give a big picture of where you do intend to spend those funds, because this is a budget chart. So wherever you can, try and put them in these specific categories. And then for ADA compliance, we're asking for you to consider the expenses of things like an ASL interpreter, captioning, large print, programs, things like that. And then it'll total, as Magdalia had said. And then this chart here is for your in-kind. So this chart will mirror the expense table above. And this is where you can let us know if some of those expenses that you outlined above will be reflected in donated services. So for example, you intend to spend $500 in printing flyers and printing under your advertising, and you have a relationship with the printer that will be printing those for free. You would then put that 500 or whatever portion of that expense would be donated in actual posters that you won't be paying cash for. You would put that in the in-kind. Or suppose you have a somebody who works in your administrative staff under personnel, and they do your bookkeeping as a volunteer. So you would add that to your expense line, and then you would also add that to your in-kind, because they're donating the time for that service.
Thank you for that.
So after the in-kind, we then have your earned income. So your in-kind plus your earned income, that equals all of your income. So the earned income means the cash that is raised from individuals donating to you, from money that you raise from maybe a fundraising event, for grants that you write, or sponsorships, or other fundraising activity that you plan to do around this program. So you will list all of that earned income, not including what you're requesting for this grant, in your earned income totals. Then we're asking below that in E7 for you to manually add your in-kind income plus your earned income and put that total in E7. Then for your grant request, that will be the amount of that $17,500 max that you are requesting, the same number you put in E1. And then you're going to show us what that total income minus expenses is.
And as always, make sure to save your information.
So one thing I do want to point out, and it is outlined in the eligibility, is that you may apply for up to 50% of your total program expenses. So if your program costs you, you know, 10,000 in expenses, then the maximum award you can ask for would be $5,000. And within that $5,000, you would need to show us that you can match that $5,000 in-kind support and or cash contributions. So I
Shall
think
I move on?
budget, yeah.
Okay. Direct public benefit. The next category.
So this is your opportunity here to talk about what you're thinking about for your direct public benefit. That is a, it is going to be a program output, but is part of this proposed program that will serve the Jersey City public for free and will give them an engagement experience that is directly associated with your program. If it sounds like I'm speaking in very general terms, it's on purpose. It's because every program is going to look very different. But this is public dollars that go into the Arts Trust, and therefore it is important to have a component of your program that is a direct engagement piece that you are providing for free to the Jersey City public. That could be a special artist talk back. It could be a peek into your artistic process. It could be a special event for Jersey City residents, a particular performance or tutorial that has to do with the program that you're proposing. So this must be for free to the public. We want to make sure that it can be achieved within that fiscal year of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. And we'd like to understand how you're going to identify, measure, and document the program's direct public benefit to make sure that you can tell the story in your final report of how many people were served through this benefit, what it looked like, and to tell the story of that visually, maybe through photographs, maybe you're going to video it. And if you have any questions about the direct public benefit, we are here, of course, that's culturalaffairs@jcnj.org, and we can talk you through what some of those public benefit programs might look like.
Additionally, I'd just like to point out that the red is the required field. So in this category, all of these fields are required. So it is a very important part of your grant application.
Thank you.
Let's make sure that we save.
At the bottom of this too, before we head out, I just want to point out the reporting and evaluation. So this has to do with your program overall. This is how, this is where you show us your key goals and your expected outcomes and what tools or data you will use to decide whether your project succeeded and achieved those goals and outcomes.
Okay, let's move on to G, which is the DEAI plan, diversity, equity, access, and inclusion.
So for this portion of the application, we're going to have applicants here explain the efforts undertaken to understand and eliminate barriers to participation and to increase access for underserved communities here in Jersey City. We'd like to know how your organization works to integrate the arts into the community life here in Jersey City. And this is the point in the application. You can really take some time and think about what engagement looks like to you and how we can go about making these programs accessible across our city. If you have, as an organization, a formal policy that addresses the diversity, equity, access, and inclusion, we'd love to see it. You can click yes and attach it.
Click on that. Okay, so we'll upload the file and you'll see it right there. You are free to delete it if it's the wrong file. You can upload multiple files if you need to. We try to keep it to a minimum of 3. and I believe a maximum of 5.
So here in the geographic and demographic detail question, we're asking you to think about who is going to be served by this program and to let us know how you intend to document and keep track of attendance and how you intend to manage your outreach, your marketing to residents in Jersey City, and how many people you intend to serve through the program.
Again, I'd like to point out that these fields are required. That is why they're in red, and you must complete them in order to move on to the next portion of the application. ADA plan?
So the ADA plan, ADA stands for the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. It's a civil rights law that prohibits discrimination based on disability. All applicants are required to develop an ADA plan for making programs accessible to audiences, artists, and organizational leaders with disabilities. And so this is at ada.gov. So if you already have a formal organizational plan, you can upload it here. And if you have a grievance procedure for your organization connected to ADA, if somebody, an audience member or attendee would like to file a grievance around accessibility, please let us know what that procedure is and you can attach that. Whether you do or you don't already have an ADA organizational plan, we're asking you to talk through some of it in the rest of this application with these questions. We're also going to have an ADA webinar that's going to be presented by the wonderful folks at the Cultural Access Network, which you will find details on our Cultural Affairs website, and that's jerseycityculture.org. We strongly encourage all applicants to attend the webinar. It is going to have a lot of really useful and important information. This ADA section of the application is important, and to stress that we do make it 20% of your total score. So we would like for you to attend that to find out information, and also to really take your time through this application to outline what your plan is for making your programs and facilities accessible to everyone. This is a priority for our city. It's a priority for the Office of Cultural Affairs, and it's a priority for the Arts and Culture Trust Fund. So we are asking here for you to outline the program accessibility and then the facilities where the program will be presented. And again, please join the webinar for some more information to help you have a successful application in this section as well.
Thank you, Christine. We're very much looking forward to that. Let's move on to the program questions.
So this is the point where the roads diverge. If you are applying for a program grant, you will click, the program grant, and then it will have you sign off, and then you can do your attachments, and then you're done. If you are going to, if this is an application for the arts education grant, you have a few more questions here. This is asking more about, is arts education a part of your organization's mission? Is there teacher training as part of the program you're proposing? And how, for programs such as classes and workshops, how the organization is an educational resource for the community. And then for enriched learning activities such as lectures and demonstrations, describe how these activities deepen the artistic experience for participants. So that's your section to make your case for the arts education grant. Once you do complete and continue, you will then be sent to that same next step page, and that will be where we start doing our attachments.
Extracurricular activities.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes, this is, thank you. This is a good point to let everyone know that if you're looking to apply for an arts education grant, the ineligible expenses, and that is on the overview page, would be curricular or extracurricular activities of a school. So if your program is being held within a school for that student body, it is not eligible. If you are hosting a program that the general public could participate in, and this goes beyond, okay, my program inside the school is going to take those students out into the general public for the public to see. That is not the same, like a class play, or like the class going out on a field trip, or to have a public art project. That is not, those aren't eligible. It would need to be a program where a student from any other school could also apply and participate in as a participant. So that's the difference there.
And again, we do urge you to print out the overview portion and use it as a reference throughout your application process. To save that. And now we are almost done with this application. This is our required fields. You will submit any and every document.
So for the support materials, this would be, maybe you have a video clip of a previous project, you have some photos, you have flyers or posters from previous shows or presentations, a reference letter, any support material that would help flesh out this proposal would be welcome here. We ask for 5 maximum attachments. And then your bios of the key personnel that are participating in this program. Resumes are also accepted. If you're a 501c3 nonprofit, this is where you attach your letter of determination from the IRS. It is not required because this only is for the 501c3 nonprofits. If you have if you have an organization that you're collaborating with, you would attach the letter. If you are another business entity, you would attach your business registration, showing that you're incorporated in New Jersey. And then if you are applying as an individual, you do need to attach a proof of residency.
Complete and continue. And it's bringing us back to the contact information because we don't have all of these boxes checked off, so it won't allow us to submit. But when you do have all of your application completed, you can go to the submit and click on the box attesting that all of the information you have submitted is true. And then you can submit and it'll send you a email confirmation that your application has been submitted. At this point, you're also able to even print the application. So if you'd like to have a hard copy for your records, you're able to do that.
You're actually, I'm just going to insert right here. You don't get the email response. You will have, it will show you that your application has been submitted when you click submit. And then you'll be able to go into your account and you'll see application submitted.
Oh, I'm sorry. We received the email response that it's been submitted.
Great. So that is the application for the program grants and the arts and education grants. And now we're going to go over to the operating grant.
Reading. Let's start the application there. Here you are, our phone number, our email address, where you can contact us if you have any questions.
So here,
as with the program grant, it's going to start with the overview page that we strongly suggest you print and keep as a reference. I'm sorry, Christine, go ahead.
Yeah, the operating grants have a maximum request of $25,000. I would make sure that you read through all this eligibility. It is different from the program grants and arts education grants. You must have 1 part-time paid staff member and have been in existence for 1 full fiscal year. When you match the grants, just like the program grants, they need to be matched 1-to-1, but 25% must be in cash. And the administrative salaries for operating grants must be limited to 50% of the total maximum grant request or the 50% of what you're requesting. Great. So everything is the same here. It is probably a good time to point out that you may only apply for one grant. So whether that is program grants, arts education, or general operating support, that is, you pick one grant application to submit.
Okay, would you like me to move on to the next page?
Oh, that's great. Same here.
This is all the same. Required information, you must complete it in order to move to the next. The organization information page. To your EIN number alongside of social media website and your organization name, what year you were incorporated. You are able to pick multiple categories that apply to your program. And as always, save your information. This way you can go back to it. Next page is the proposal. This is similar to the program grant. You've got 2,000 characters to give your brief description. And save that. And again, you can jump around from whichever page you'd like to start with at your convenience. As long as all of the boxes are checked off before you try submitting. A proposal narrative. This is all required information, as you can tell by the red.
We have a new question in here for our general operating support. We're asking for information on the artistic decision makers, the organization's connection to the audience or the community served by the artistic work, and how the organization measures artistic quality. And of course, artistic quality is relative to the organization's stated mission and goals. It should consider cultural relevance and avoid narrow and historically exclusive measures of quality. And then we also have the same question about any key partners or personnel.
Okay, let's make sure we save. I cannot stress that enough. And let's go to the budget. I think the budget has a few
Yes.
different items as well.
Yep, exactly. So here again, E1, $25,000 is the maximum. And that's where you would put your request. You'll note in E3, 25% must be in cash of your request. And let us know here how you intend to match these funds. Down in the budget chart, we have a little more information here around your administration costs for your full-time, part-time, seasonal staff, and other personnel. As a reminder, 50% of your ask is the maximum amount that can be applied towards administrative salaries. Just like with program grants, we have your administrative materials costs. Then we go into the program supplies for your production, equipment rentals, artistic personnel, and travel. Rent for facilities, your maintenance, utilities, insurance, phone and computer. And then under marketing, you have advertising, graphic design, printing, and other. And then the ADA compliance, your costs associated with making your programs and facilities accessible to all. Your in-kind support chart here is going to mirror your expenses. And then down in your earned income, You'll then add more detail around your cash that's going to be earned. And that would be from admissions, subscriptions, cash contributions, sponsorships, fundraising events, and other grants. That does not include your ask for the Arts and Culture Trust Fund grant. You can see over the little question mark here that you don't include your grant request in this total. This is where you add if you're in kind and earned income manually. It will not total it for you. Then your total grant request, that's the same number from the first field at the top of the page. And then you show us your total income minus your total expenses, and this should equal your grant request.
Okay, this is an additional page for the operating grant application. Christine?
This is where we ask you to tell us more about your leadership, what that board or other leadership structure looks like, and other volunteer groups who carry out the work of the organization. We'd like to know what positions are paid and what positions that volunteers hold. You outline your sources of income and your fundraising plan. Explain how in-kind goods and services impact the organization and how you recognize and reward your volunteers. You'll provide information which gives an honest assessment of your current financial picture as an organization. And F6 is an important piece of this application because we do want to make sure that these organizations applying for operating grant support are thinking about the future beyond this fiscal year. And we see the strategic planning process as an important process. So we want to know how you're going to measure it, how your success into the future, and have goals that are achievable.
Most of these fields are required as indicated by the red. And now we can move on to the engagement page. Similar to the program grant.
Yes, this is where we are asking for you to talk more about the geographic and demographic detail of the audiences that you serve, how many people you serve annually, the methods you employ to market your program and communicate with potential participants. You state the program's goals for broadening, deepening, and or diversifying that participation and reach, and describe how diversity of the program's leadership supports its participation and engagement efforts. Here is your diversity, equity, access, and inclusion portion, where you articulate how your organization works to identify and address issues related to DEI in your programming, efforts to understand and eliminate barriers to participation, and how you work to integrate the arts into community life. And if you do have a DEI policy, you would attach it at Gina.
And it'll let you upload the file right on this page. It looks like these are all required fields, Christine.
Right.
Let's move along to the direct public benefit. Very similar to the program grant.
And this is where you will talk about the direct public benefit that you'll be providing for free to the public in Jersey City as part of this year's programming covered under the general operating support. In addition, this is your reporting and evaluation. So that would be your key goals and expected outcomes for the coming year, and how you will evaluate the success of those goals and outcomes.
Move along to the ADA plan.
So you'll attach your ADA plan if you do have a formally adopted plan, and your grievance procedure, who your point of contact is, or ADA for your
And
organization.
again, we'll be having a tutorial on this or a video when?
ADA webinar, and that'll be
Yes.
presented by the Cultural Access Network, and you will find all that information on jerseycityculture.org. So you'll outline your ADA plan here, and your plan for programs, making programs accessible, and your facilities as well.
Make sure to save your information before moving along to the next page. And we're just about at the end here, where you can upload any and all of your documentations.
So here we're asking for the same supporting materials. Those could be videos, photos, previous work samples, your bios and resumes. The third bullet point, actually, if you can go up one more, is the 5-year strategic plan. So this is where you're going to outline your plans for the future, including plans for administrative salaries and how you'll cover those costs over the next fiscal years. So this 5-year strategic plan is important to think about what your organization is going to look like into the future, the goals that you're setting for the next 5 years, your financial and fiscal plans, and how you plan to achieve your goals. So we really do want to see that you're looking into the future and that you support a plan that outlines your roadmap to get there. This is your organization budget for the previous fiscal year and the current fiscal year. If you have an audit report or a financial statement, you may attach it here. Your IRS determination letter, if you're a 501c3, or you would attach your other business filing. And then if you have a collaborator, you could attach that letter as well.
So you can see here that it won't allow me to click on the complete and continue because I haven't uploaded any of the required documents, nor have I completed any of the required pages. However, when you do have all of that information completed, it will allow you to complete and continue to the next page, which is submit. And you'll be able to check off your box, letting us know that all of the information you've provided to us is accurate, and then hit submit.
There we go. So the page will then tell you that you've submitted your application, and then you can track the progress by logging into your account where it shows you that your application has been submitted.
Again, if you would like a hard copy of your application after it's been completed, before you submit it, feel free to go to the print application icon and make sure to have enough paper in your printer, about 15 pages, so that can print out for you and you can keep it for your records.
Thanks so much for taking the time with us today. Many thanks to Migdalia for being such a great tutorial giver and walking us through the whole process. And we look forward to working with you, and please feel free to reach out. Again, that's culturalaffairs@jcnj.org, or you can call 201-547-6554.
6554.
There you go. Best of luck, best wishes to everyone. Thanks again for taking the time to join us, and we will see you soon.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.